They come with nothing. Amber Price. I just wanted to introduce myself. I am studying in the ESL track. I have a BA in Spanish from Colorado State University, and I live in Tampa, Florida. I am not teaching at the moment, but I was teaching elementary and middle school English as a second language, part-time adult ESL, and intensive reading in middle school. In Wisconsin, I taught Spanish language in high school. In Hong Kong, I taught ESL all ages, and same in South Korea. I just think it's important sometimes to give a background of where you're coming from and maybe why you have a certain perspective. The full title is They Come With Nothing: How Professional Development in a Culturally Responsive Pedagogy Shapes Teacher Attitudes Towards Latino-Latina English Language Learners. So I think one thing we all know is that teachers can influence a classroom, they can influence a student, and they can influence student achievements. We know that teacher attitudes, prejudice, bias have the ability to positively and negatively affect student achievement outcomes. So this study is talking about the New South in the United States. It's talking about students, teachers, demographics, etc. I also wanted to talk about students and the rising number of the ELL students in the United States. Taken from the paper, 77.2% of current ELLs are Spanish speakers, predominantly from Latin America, coming from the National Center on Immigrant Integration Policy in 2010. Our current expectation of students is that they learn English and they learn the content area while they're at school. And so this situation is further complicated by the fact that Latino ELLs are typically enrolled in schools that do not have experience in either serving Latino students or ELLs of any language. And right now, due to NAFTA, immigration, work, we have states like California, Texas, Arizona, more border states that are seeing an increase in the demographics of ELLs. And because of this, we have difficulties that arise. A quote I've got here: teachers often feel unable to meet these challenges, and this feeling, backdropped by the ever-increasing demands of high-stakes testing and all-or-nothing teacher accountability measures, can potentially create negative attitudes towards English language learners that arrive in their classrooms. So I really have a couple of questions here. How are teacher beliefs accurately documented? Are teacher biases tested? I just wonder, how are we measuring these things? So about 2 years this study took place. They did some data mining. They used qualitative data to test teacher biases, teacher attitudes, influences. They focused on PD with culturally responsive teaching, instructional conversation. They studied about their teacher responses over time, questioned their beliefs about Latino students, ELLs, language acquisition. And guess what? The common thread is we've got deficit-oriented beliefs. So without even seeing the student, meeting the student, knowing where they're from, knowing anything about them, there's already a teacher mindset that these students come with a deficit. Here's a quote that I think we can all agree that is a little concerning. Whether manifested as a deficit mentality towards ELLs, benign neglect regarding their language needs, or passive acceptance of home language use in the classroom, the findings here have outlined the degree to which cultural assumptions and prejudices still have a strong influence on many teachers' attitudes towards English language learners. But we have hope. There are positive changes over time with education, targeted practice, and interventions. My personal viewpoint on this is I already knew this, and as seeing how many teachers are monolingual, white teachers who don't maybe have that experience with teaching ELLs, Latino, Spanish-speaking students, it's really hard. I also see those students come in from Cuba, and you can have a student from Cuba who's had a great education. You can have a student from Venezuela who's had zero. You can have a student from Mexico who came from a private school, or a student maybe from Guatemala who hasn't passed the first grade. The problem is I really think there's a lot of, we we don't know, and so many students are placed in these classrooms based on age. Also, how are we determining reading? Are we studying students if they're literate in their home language? Do we still put them at the bottom of the pack if they're not literate in English? There's a lot of questions I have. Anyways, and I also think it's really difficult to measure accurate teacher bias without creating problems. So I guess I have more questions than I have answers, but my main one is, how do we stop seeing our students that are ELL students that they come in with deficits? And here is the official reference. I also hope that, we can focus on how to support our ELLs, what reading programs we can really focus on helping them as, and how to pull out the knowledge that they already have to be able to share with the classroom, and then also give them that confidence within school. So I look forward to seeing everyone's video, and thank you for watching. I wasn't expecting for it to be so long.